Y'all ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Don't laugh.
They paid a lot of money for this.
You like the high tech? Welcome back to Rip Through It podcast. It is episode, I don't even know what episode it is. I'm just so excited for this.
12, 13, 14, we are
I
on.
reckon it's 14. Okay, we have a play here today. This is a big one. 308 games, 589 goals, 3 times All-Australian, 4 times Adelaide leading goal kicker, 3 times A.F.L Goal of the year. This is going to take a while.
Yeah, we're getting there.
2 times Carlton leading goal kicker in Carlton, best first year player in 2005. It's your boy, Eddie Betts.
Yeah, good man, thanks.
Boys, how are you?
Welcome to the People's Podcast, Eddie.
I like that.
Welcome, man.
Very technical here,
We
isn't
spent
it?
a lot of money on all our
Yeah.
props around here, so this is
It's
exciting.
a great setup.
I'm not doing this stuff. This is all new stuff by the way I'm touching and playing around with.
Oh, very nice. I haven't even seen that yet.
So I'm going with the flow. Nah,
It is.
welcome Eddie Betts.
Oh,
Thanks for
thanks-
coming on.
thanks
I
for
know
having
your
me.
time is very expensive.
I wouldn't say expensive, it's busy, but
Yeah. We've
Busy.
flown you to Queensland for this specifically,
Yes.
so thank you. We appreciate
I'm
that.
flying
We don't
business
have-
class home.
We don't
Yeah.
have any funds in our bank account, but did rock up in a Mercedes-Benz today, might add. True or
Yeah,
false?
it's true. It's
Doing
a
very well.
higher car. It's
Yeah.
a higher car.
Doing very well.
Regardless.
Well, there was no big cars. I've got four kids, so 6 of us all up, and I've got 2 big bags and a double stroller pram, and there was no car that could fit it, and the only one left was the big
only one left, you reckon?
Mercedes.
That's
That's
yeah.
when you
Bus.
know you've made it, because
Yeah.
the only one left is a Mercedes-Benz. I don't
Yeah.
know what class it is, but it's
Yeah. And you don't need to
It's
defend
actually-
yourself to us.
It's
Don't
actually
worry.
pretty good. It's pretty good.
Any shout-outs to any sponsors for that, or?
No, because the Crows are sponsored by Toyota, so I can't.
Oh, that's
I
right.
can't
We'll
really-
bleep that out.
I can't really shout out to anyone.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. What brings you to Brisbane, mate? Obviously, we're joking around. We got you here on the podcast, but what brought you to Brisbane?
It's a bye weekend this week, and thought we'd come up and get some sun. It's footy's a hard sport, and so we just wanted to clear your head, come up, take the family away, and
Bit of R&R.
yeah, we stayed at Tate Kaiser's house up on the Gold Coast,
Oh,
who's
okay.
an ex-coach
Yeah.
at the Crows, and now he's coaching at the Gold Coast Sun. So it was a good little holiday.
Is he doing forward line stuff?
He's a development coach at the moment. but
Devo coach. That's the best
Yeah.
coaches.
I think
They get
that's
good
where,
hours.
but I
Coaches.
think that's where they're throwing all the the good coaches now in development, because they need to develop the young kids coming through. So he's saying that if they succeed and they success, it's because of him.
I reckon I'd be an awesome Devo coach.
Oh, I know the
Would
hours
you like
are better.
to be coaching?
I hate footy and coaching.
Do
No,
you?
I don't see myself being a coach, but development coach, if they make good money, then I think they're on a little bit of, but
Yeah. And it's
Are
not,
they? Are they?
maybe. I don't know, ask your boy.
I'll have to
What's his
send
name?
him a
Tate
text.
or something.
yeah, good coin. It's
Shout
all
out
right.
to, he's actually an avid listener.
He doesn't miss an
He's
episode.
tuned in a fair bit. He's
Has
actually
he?
sent me an email today saying good luck. All right, so let's get stuck into it. Let's rip through it. Beg the pun.
Rip,
Yeah.
rip
Let's
through it.
rip
That's,
through it.
that's-
Do you like the name?
That's a good start.
Do you like the
Yeah.
name?
Rip through it.
Let's rip through
Who come up with that?
it. Me.
Did you?
Yeah, it's been organic.
He wanted the People's Podcast. And I was
Yeah.
like,
People's podcast.
Or lift in the lid.
Lift
but
in the lid.
I,
Either
that's
way,
fair enough.
either way.
If anything to do with you, like Madness or Robbo or
Kamikaze Kid.
Kamikaze.
That's back in the vault.
Oh, we're gonna have to talk about that.
No, we
today.
don't.
I remember that opener
no.
with
That's-
Kamikaze Kids.
I don't want to.
Robbo invited me.
I took his sign.
Jeff Garlett, Chris Yaron.
Oh,
He even got
yeah.
Chris Judd down there.
Oh,
Mark
yeah.
Murphy came down.
Mark
yeah.
Murphy. This is in Chapel Street
What
somewhere.
the hell was I doing?
We walked
man?
up. We had the coconut water there.
Yeah.
Just giving each other
We
high five
did
kind of thing.
too.
Remember that?
I'll put up a photo on YouTube. I'll pop it up right here. That was looking back, it's pretty wanky.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
yeah.
lie. But you know what? I made no money off it, so it was good fun.
Good times.
I got sued by their own company.
Yeah, you got.
I got sued by my own
He got
company.
sued. He lost money on
I
that.
lost money. It was great timing. All right, so let's run through it, mate. Born in Port Lincoln, raised in Kalgoorlie. Then was that with your mum in
Yeah,
Kalgoorlie?
yeah, in Kalgoorlie with my
Then-
mother,
Then back to Port Lincoln,
with my father,
and you played.
Mallee Park Footy Club. in
Yeah,
Port
shout
Lincoln.
out, until you were 15. Then you moved to Melbourne at 15.
Yes.
Run us through that.
Yeah.
That's a bit of travelling around.
Yeah, well, I did a lot of travelling. Mum and dad split up when I was about 5, so I moved back to Western Australia. I was born in Port Lincoln, moved back to
Yeah.
Western Australia in Kalgoorlie to live with my mother. We lived at our grandfather's house, her dad's house, her mum and dad's house, and
Yeah.
12 Boomerang Crescent in Boulder. It's still there.
What a name.
yeah,
Yeah.
12 Boomerang Crescent.
Boomerang.
Yeah, that's the
Boomerang.
party street.
Yeah, so
Lindsay Thomas in that street?
no. That's in Kalgoorlie, man. Lindsay's in South Australia.
My bad.
And so yeah, we stayed there for a while. Then Mum got her own house. I forgot where it was. One of the places in Kalgoorlie, and
Yeah.
we lived there. But basically, lived at our pop's house at the back, and growing up with all our cousins, older brothers, older sisters, younger brothers, younger sisters, all first cousins. So
yeah.
it was fun times.
You've been running amok in that
It was
house.
fun times. And then we moved back to Port Lincoln when I was a bit older. We lived with Dad and Mum in Port Lincoln. So Dad had his own house, Mum had her own house, and so back and forth with Mum and Dad, and played for Mallee Park Football Club for 2 years, which was an all Aboriginal football club, but non-Aboriginal people can play as well.
Did you play against other like white teams and stuff, or just?
Yeah. So there's Marlborough Range, Waybacks, Lincoln South, and all these teams that are in Port Lincoln, Tasmans, Boston's, and Mallee Park. So anyone can play anywhere.
Yeah.
But
you just had your own team, you
but
boys.
Mallee
Geez, that
Park-
would have been a pretty good
Yeah.
team.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of good
Bit of
talent.
talent.
How many goals a year in that team?
Well, there was one of my cousins called Michael Burgo, and he kicked 25 goals in one game, and we just had to keep feeding it to him, like kept giving it to him.
No, that's average, man.
I think after 10, he just commands the ball, doesn't he?
Yeah, and so it was good. Like a lot of good talent come out of Port Lincoln. You got the Byron Pickett, Sean and Peter Burgo, and Aaron Davey played there. Harry Miller played at Hawthorn.
Damn.
Lindsay Thomas, North Melbourne. Myself, Derek Wanganeen played there, but he got drafted to Hawthorn.
Yep.
And there was a few other boys.
And what's the population of that place? Be like what, a couple thousand?
Yeah, a few people
Or
fly in,
10,000?
fly out. Or
I don't even know.
No, it's pretty big.
Oh, it's big
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
Is it mining?
Port Lincoln?
Mining?
No mining. It's
I've
all
done my
tuna,
research, man. I know exactly where it
tuna
is.
fishing.
Ooh.
So tuna diving, shark cage diving. So a lot of tourists come there.
Oh, okay, that's where the money comes in.
Yeah.
That's where it is.
So after all
Oysters.
that, you moved to Melbourne willingly, or was that
Nah, we
back on the parents going, come on, boy?
yeah. Nah, well, we were doing all the wrong things in Port Lincoln.
So you
with,
weren't tuna fishing and you weren't.
Nah,
you
we
went
were
to shark diving.
stealing, drinking, and smoking.
Oh, okay.
And skipping school. So then they said, "No, let's pack up." So my mum
Yeah,
and my auntie Tessa, their sisters, moved together to Melbourne.
Yeah,
Went straight to Byron Pickett's house. He was playing for North Melbourne at the moment. We was living in Sunshine.
yeah.
We stayed in his garage for I think about a week in Byron's garage until we got a house out in Broadmeadows. Then we lived in Broady because I went to Kangan Batman TAFE
Yeah.
in Broady.
Geez, Broadmeadows, that's
Yeah.
rough as it gets out there, isn't
Yeah.
You should know.
I was pretty close to
you
Broadmeadows.
probably slept there.
No, it's Pasco Vale, man. It's next door.
Yeah,
AJ's house.
Yeah. And so moved there and
And what was it, Phil Cracker's?
Phil Crack. It was a football course ran through the Kangan Batman TAFE, and
Yeah.
it was all boys from all over Australia.
Yep.
Boys from Darwin, Broome, Western Australia, from Perth, Adelaide, Queensland, and so we all moved down together. Went to this course, this football program course, and in the afternoons, in the mornings we'll do schoolwork from 9 to 12. We'll have lunch and then we'll go out and train in the afternoon. So it was fun.
wow.
You got the whole
Yeah.
arvo off. You had just
Yeah.
a 4-hour PE session.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it wasn't really
No
serious.
wonder he's a gun
It
player,
wasn't really.
man. No
even
wonder
school.
he's
It
good.
wasn't really.
Got a 3-year head start on
it.
everyone else. That's it.
Jeez.
It was just a, I don't know, just going through woodwork and stuff like that.
Yeah, as you do.
Yeah.
That's like a TAFE course.
Yeah,
eh?
like a TAFE course, and then we played at a place called Templestowe Footy Club because Phil Cracker lived in Templestowe, and all us boys we lived in. They put the boys in a house in Pascoval. I remember it called Hazel Grove. So there was this house in Hazel Grove, and they put all the boys that were in that course in Hazel Grove
With who?
just with themselves. So they all.
Yeah.
There was
Wow.
a couple. There was a couple of older guys too.
Yeah, there would have been
Okay,
like
yeah.
a mentor bloke.
Yeah, kind of like they were 18, 19, 20 that lived with them as well. And so, but we were living in Glenroy at the time, and so we had to get on the Glenroy train station, get on the bus all the way up, goes all the way up Bell Street, and then we'll pick up the boys on the way. They'll get on the bus, goes all the way down to Heidelberg, then we get on a train and get to the next stop, get on another bus, and it takes us down to Templestowe, and then we'll get out and walk to Phil's house because Phil's house is on the corner, and from Phil's house we'll go past the roundabout up on the right hand side was the Templestowe Footy Club, and that's how we got to training.
And that's a mission and a half.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wow.
it was.
And how old were we there?
Yeah.
Like 16, 17, 15.
15.
15.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
2
don't know
years of
how to
that.
tie my shoes at 15.
Hey.
man.
3 years of that.
No, 1 year that.
1 year that,
One year
yeah.
because we played there. Got to the premiership. They got to the grand final, lost the premiership, and then because we were all staying in Pascoe and Glenroy, that was the Calder Cannons region because everything under 18s TAC Cup is zoned.
Yep.
And so Calder Cannons got a hold of, there's a lot of Indigenous players playing out at Templestowe, but they're based in our zone. So they all asked us to come down and train. So that's what we did. We went down and trained. About 6 of us, I think, went down and trained for the Calder Cannons, and I was the only one who got through.
Really?
And,
And you were 16 there, right?
yeah, it's 15.
15.
I was 15.
And then you made the. So did you played rep footy that year or year after?
That year. So no, so then I made that. So the next year I had to go do preseason with the Calder Cannons. So we started preseason with Calder Cannons. I rocked up there. I remember it was up in in Nidri, at one of the schools in Nidri, and there was guys like so much bigger than me.
Yeah.
No bigger.
neck. Eddie would have been about 5 foot.
Yeah, I looked at a guy
5
called
foot.
there was Brock McLean, and I looked at
Chuka.
I looked at Chook.
Chuka.
I was like, geez, that guy's pretty big.
He would have been a man mountain. He wouldn't have grown since
There
then.
was a dude called Jackson Barling as well, and Jackson Barling was massive and tall.
Yeah.
And because it was my bottom year, I'm like, okay, I reckon it's their top, their top age. But they were same age as me, and I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, they feed him different in Victoria.
I know. Yeah.
Especially Brock McLean, like he probably would have been fit as he was then as well.
Yeah,
like,
he was.
He's not the quickest blokes, but
And I felt weird because I had a tattoo too, so I was the only one walking in with a tattoo. And
Yeah, just
he's 15 with a tattoo.
on my back. I got that one.
Did you get bets on the back? Butsy.
BUTTS.
Butts.
Yeah,
Did they mess it up or was it something going on?
That's a nickname.
That's a
We'll
nickname.
go through
Oh,
that
yeah,
later.
we'll go through that later on.
If you want to.
Yeah, the butts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got so you had that year there, and then
Yeah, I had that.
then
year.
you got not accepted, but you made the team for the under 18s.
Yeah, I made the
As a 16-year-old.
The under 18s and the 16-year-old. David Dixon was the coach.
Yeah.
Of
Shout out Dave Dixon.
to Vic Metro. And it was funny because WA they knew that I was from WA, and so they put a claim in for me to play for WA.
Oh, what? WA found out you were playing down there and playing well, and like, we want him back.
Yeah, no, in the state side.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I
yeah.
could have played for WA state side instead of Vic Metro.
But you were happy in Vic, eh?
No, but I played my last 2 years in South Australia for the Mallee Park Football Club.
Make his mind up.
And so, but if South Australia put that claim in, I would have had no choice. But
You would have had to go play there.
I would have had to go play for South Australia.
Or
but
just not play at all.
Nah, I would have played.
You would have played
Yeah, I
South
would have
Australia.
played.
You would have gone boarding school there.
I would have played. No, it wasn't boarding
Just
school.
fly
Just
for the week, yeah.
no, but because all the games were here in.
They were
of course,
in
not
Victoria.
here. This is in Brisbane, but in Victoria.
In Victoria,
So all the games were in Victoria.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
but they didn't put the claim in. And so,
Well, SA, if you're listening, they're a big listener, SA.
Yeah.
You missed out on one of the best players in
and
history.
so
Good on you.
it,
I suppose they're probably happy now.
Who's their recruiter?
and so then I they played for Vic Metro for the the next 2 years.
Yeah, wow.
So you should have. We couldn't get drafted because you were too young at 16, 17.
Well, I made All Australian that.
You made All Australian, yeah. You made All Australian, and then
as a 16-year-old.
the year after, you'd think like, he's surely. If you made All Australian when he was at bottom age, surely he's going to get drafted.
Yeah, well, I got fat over the season, over the end of the season.
Yeah. Okay. So standards just
Standards, yeah.
that's the
Standards
term,
went
yeah.
out the
Go
window.
happy with himself.
I didn't work hard.
This is easy.
I ate.
This is easy.
I ate a lot of cookies,
Subway,
and biscuits, and Subway biscuits.
Subway eat fresh though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Subway.
Yeah, and that's good for you. Shout out Subway.
Yeah, we're trying to
get Subway on
You're
board.
trying to get
so this
as
might
much
help.
shout outs as you can.
So
And
it's
then
Blue Poppy. And then what? So you
I
got
drank
injured,
a lot.
didn't you?
I drank a lot of alcohol. I got injured. I didn't train. Didn't eat the right foods.
Why was that,
KFC.
man? You're killing it. Why
So
suddenly?
so take us to.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know what.
Yeah. Was it the education?
Yeah, I didn't know what was professional and what, because this is just the way that I've been brought up. I eat anything.
Yeah.
We eat what we got
And
on
you're
the table.
playing well as well.
You know,
it's
so
like-
whatever's on the table for dinner, that's what I'm eating. I've got no choice but to eat that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, you got to have this and this,
Certain amount of
sometimes
calories.
it's a struggle
Yeah,
to
yeah.
put food on the table. So
Yeah.
it was hard, and we just ate whatever we had given.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so.
So how big we talking? Well, I've seen your draft photos.
You've
So I'm
seen
guessing I've
photos.
seen
You've seen the photos. Don't you worry.
I've seen your draft
Nah,
photos, so I'm
don't
going to
find
say a little bit
those
worse than that.
Don't photo.
I've seen a good. I'll bring it up on you. And also you got osteitis-pubis in your OP.
osteitis-pubis. So I didn't
Yeah.
know what hard work was. When I got injured, they said go jump on a bike, and I jumped on a bike and I was just pedaling my legs
pedaling.
over. They come and go, you got no sweat on you. I'm like,
Yeah, I don't sweat. That's Jeffy's. I don't sweat.
yeah, well, I actually don't sweat that much, but I just wasn't working hard at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wasn't fit and just didn't know how to work hard, to be honest.
So that
Yeah.
was your draft year. Did you got drafted the year after that? So that was
Nah, I got drafted that year, my draft year, but I missed out on the national draft.
you went rookie.
No, I didn't go rookie. I didn't get rookie. I got
Preseason
preseason
draft.
draft. Yeah,
Preseason draft. Yep.
yeah. Which I didn't get drafted. so the draft is finished, and I said, bugger it, I'm going back home to Western Australia. Flew back to the WA. My 18th birthday, 26th of November. I was having a big party there. My family flew over from Western Australia, and I think it was Pete Monkearns. Pete Monkearns was the Carlton fitness guru at that time.
Yeah.
He gave me a call, and his wife is Sarah Monkearns, who was the Calder Canon's fitness instructor as well. And
Links.
So we got the links, and they said, oh, maybe come down and train, give it a crack. And
Is it like a 2 week or how long did you do that for?
2 weeks.
2 weeker.
Yeah, 2 weeker. Come down and train for the.
And you had OP at the time?
No, I was.
Oh, so you're sweet.
I was sweet. This is the end of the season. The OP at the end of last season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so then I said, oh, can you just wait for the weekend? My 18th this
You
week.
took off.
They said, nah, you gotta
You gotta
come
get
back
out there.
now. Don't worry about
Yeah.
your 18th. So that's what I did. I jumped on a plane. They celebrated without me. They had a good time.
Oh, stop it.
No FaceTime back then either.
No
so-
FaceTime.
Oh,
back
yeah.
then.
Dirty.
Not even a flip phone, probably 2005.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dirty.
yeah.
The Nokia 3315.
No, you got-
been able to capture anything.
Yeah, that one where you just grab and flip up,
Yeah.
Oh, the
And you
flick
play
the-
snakes on
Oh,
3-7,
yeah.
it's up and down. 3-7.
Yeah, I got a couple of
Yeah.
records. I'm not gonna lie.
100%.
And so I went back and trained with the Carlton, and they till this day they still, get stuck into me the way that I was running, because I had little fat guts, and so I would hold my jumper up like this, and I would run because I didn't want anyone to see my guts.
Yeah.
Because when I let it down, my guts would like roar.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
much, eh?
Yeah, wow.
And so I was
Okay.
running 3K time trials like this.
One-handed.
One
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah, everyone else is looking at you like, look
Everyone
at the
thinks he's
technique.
got like a
This is-
shoulder injury and he's trying to
Yeah.
hold his shoulder.
Yeah, no, but it was a bit
100%.
weird. But yeah, and ended up Trent Noble at that time was training with the Carlton Football Club,
Yeah.
and Carlton needed a ruckman, and they were picking him up in the preseason draft at number 3. And they said they were going to pick me up in the rookie draft. Carlton had number 1 in the rookie draft, and they said, all right, we'll get you then. And Richmond actually picked up Trent Noble at number 1 in the preseason draft.
Yeah, okay.
And so they said, oh, well, who's the next person we're going to get? And they said, me. So they said, oh, go get him. And then they ended up picking me on the preseason.
So he's actually number 3 draft pick.
Number 3 draft
Wow.
pick, yeah. It's pretty
Just
good.
look at it like that.
That's not bad.
First year, 2005.
I was going to be number 1 though.
I know,
Yeah.
but you can't all be.
Yeah,
Can't all
can't
be.
always
I think
be number
AJ was 1 year.
Was he?
Yeah, he got
Number 1 draft
he got
pick.
delisted and then picked back up as a number 1 rookie, I think. And he claimed the fame.
Our boy, AJ. I remember that when I first walked in, the property store, Bulldog.
Bulldog.
You would know Bully?
Yeah.
Yeah. He said, we're going for a ruckman, and they go, okay, who'd you get? And then in comes walking me. And I'm like this side. And he goes, oh,
He's got hops though
that's a big ruckman you got there.
in the wrong areas.
Smallest bloke on the list.
Yeah. So you get to Carlton, and I suppose the first 2 weeks, take us back to that. I mean, when you think about it now, I mean, a lot would have happened in that first 2 weeks. You go from probably not thinking that you're a chance to making the system to suddenly being an A.F.L club. I mean, that must have been, I suppose, a wealth of emotions going through you.
Yeah, it was. I was a bit shocked at first. Playing at AFL level.
Yeah.
And then, but what made it more comfortable, there was a couple of boys that played for Calder Cannons with me. They got rookie that year, so there was Jesse Smith and Nick Becker as well at that time, and Adam Bentic, who played beforehand in the top age. So I played in a premiership with him. Got drafted to Carlton the year before.
Yep.
And so I obviously knew a few players that were on the list as well. So it was pretty daunting, but it was good to have those guys there on the list, would you?
Yeah. Absolutely.
First year, you won the best first year player. What round did you debut?
Round 1.
Round 1, and then you played
19
games, 19 goals.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out, like,
It was a
when
bit weird
did you
back
think,
then,
like,
though. But because when you get on the bench, though, you're
on the bench, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
We're
on
not,
the
we're
bench.
not going too. That's not that far back,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, that's not that far back. That's 15 years, and
Yeah.
it's like
It's like starting with a sub vest.
so that starting with sub vest, you won't even come into the first quarter sometimes.
Yeah,
You're
so-
starting a second.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a bit weird back then, but. And the game's changed so much because I used to sit in a 4 pucker with Fev, and there'll be a stoppage up in a back 50.
You made a
and-
career out of that.
And we'll just sit down in the forward line. And just relax.
Just relax. Yeah. Wait for the
Yeah,
wait
when
for the
Feb
time.
All you got to do is wait. If Fev doesn't mark it, you just crumb him.
Yeah,
That's
but
how
he,
you-
but
that's
he
how you-
rarely dropped them though. That's the thing,
exactly.
though.
Oh yeah.
Kick him out of his ass anywhere. Yeah. So your first 4 years, what changed for you drastically in 2009 that sparked?
Because there's a story here. Apparently, something significant happened in 2009, which sparked the trajectory of your career.
I
just wanna know.
had to grow up a little bit.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had to look after young kids, and it really taught me to be a grown up. I had a young Mitch Robinson to come.
Yeah.
And if you know Robbo now, knowing him back then when he was crazy,
Damn,
even
girl.
more crazier
Yeah.
on and off the field.
I would have kicked myself out of that house if I was Eddie. I would have gone, get out.
It was hard
Thank
to deal
you.
with. Hard
Thank
to
you.
deal with.
Oh, stop.
Run us through the story.
But
Yeah.
we took the chance on Robbo, and
Yeah.
look at him
Yeah.
now. He's
Yeah, you made a strong investment early and it's paying dividends.
He's
now,
making
which-
podcasts and everything.
It could have backfired horribly though. But I do give big props to Eddie Betts for picking me up in my first year.
That's
yeah,
okay.
but we'll talk some stats now. I know that
Yes.
everyone listens to this; they love their stats. So obviously, I thought that you were in All-Australian form for 2 years in a row in 2011 and 12. You didn't get it.
Hang
you
on,
got
so
the
that was
squad.
with Carlton?
Yeah, Carlton.
50 goals and
50
48.
goals. 50 goals in 2011, didn't
Yeah.
make it. Stephen Milne made it with 60 something, and they
Yeah,
had
this
a whole
story.
bunch of midfielders around the other areas,
Yeah.
and they had another ruckman up there as well, Dean Cox. So I didn't know about that, and 48 goals in 2012, which was 10 more than Rioli. And I think that you've always had that comparison at the Calder. I think now you've way overtaken him in my personal opinion, but back then I think he was getting the nod over you for, I don't know, tackles or something. But do you think you're a bit stiff back then not to make the squad? I know you made the squad twice, but did you make the team?
I made the squad twice.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I wasn't disappointed in not making it because I was just happy that I made the squad.
Yeah.
But as you play, some better footy later on in the year, and then you miss out. That's where you kind of think,
When have you haven't even lost it in the last few? You made like 4 in a row, man.
You threw
no,
three in a row.
three in a row.
Yeah,
Three in a row.
Yeah.
And I
All
I
up.
thought I should have made 4.
Which
at
one's
the
the
first
4?
year at the Crows.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
First year
yeah,
at Adelaide, and I
So how many goals did you kick in 2014? You're leading goal kicker of the Crows.
I think 55. I'm pretty sure, or 56.
Stiff.
That's very stiff.
That's stiff.
Yeah, but so you thought like, I think that you were a bit stiff to not make it, but do you think there was like a little bit of praise for Rioli back then more than yourself, or?
No, not really. Cyril's an absolute jet of the game.
Yeah,
He's
and
a
they're playing in grand
superstar.
finals too.
And they're dominating.
Yeah.
And it's hard, when you got competing. You're competing with small forwards. There's some great small forwards out there.
Yeah.
And I'm competitive. I always like to watch other small forwards to see how they go.
Yeah.
And you always want to, if they see one small forward kick 8 goals one week, you're like, I've got to try to do something now this week just to try to match it. But but it's always good to see, especially Indigenous players. I've always wanted to watch them and succeed and do well in AFL footy.
Yeah.
So,
And the thing is, like, the small forwards have only got 2 positions, and sometimes
That's hard.
sometimes they only get the one.
Yeah.
Like the high half forwards are usually midfielders that could make the centre,
Yeah.
and then you got maybe 2 full forwards who are probably first and second in the Coleman.
Yeah.
And then you got like sometimes to throw a ruckman in there.
I think it's only one position as a small forward.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Basically.
Genuine,
Which is
yeah.
Genuine
dumb,
small
man.
forward
I
because
hate
the
that.
other
I
one's
hate
going
it.
to be a tall forward in that pocket.
That's
or,
what okay.
or midfielder. So
Or
it's-
like a swingman, like a Lynch or
Yes.
someone who like can rack them up and still get there.
Yeah.
But I hate the way it's done. It should
But
be.
even like I speak to even the small forwards that we have now, like just don't get upset with games that you play because it's the hardest position to play on the ground.
100%.
Sometimes you can't get near the ball. You can get near the ball, but it's just not bouncing your way.
Yeah. You miss a shot that you should usually kick.
Yeah, and
then
it's
like-
tough. It's one of the hardest positions. If you don't have any other bows, to
Strings to your bow.
strings to your bow, it's a hard position to play.
So did you build? So obviously sometimes games don't go your way. So if you aren't kicking your bags of goals or kicking your 2s and 3s, is there something else you focus on in
It's just
game?
pressure, chase, and tackling. These days now it's a bit different because the game's so quick and in advance, and the game's played in half a field basically. So if the ball's is transitioning out of our forward line, we have to get up on the open side to.
You got to be fit, man.
Yeah, you got to
You got to be real
spread
fat,
hard.
up and back.
You got to be bloody fit.
You got to hope there's no
these young
turnovers.
kids, and it's even harder now when as you get older, you get young kids that come in that are
Yeah, fit,
fit
man.
as fiddle and they're big, and you got these kids playing on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just think, as you get older, like last year, I just thought, the game's getting past me because I didn't have a great season last year, and you get these young kids coming to play on you, and you're not getting near the ball.
They're fresh as, and they want to make a name for themselves.
And they want to make
being
a
Eddie
name
Betts.
for themselves,
Yeah.
and it's just hard. So you got to work extra hard, or you got to just find some other ways to your game to beat these young players.
Like, how much time do you put into looking at the opposition coming up? So you probably know most of the defenders in the comp and stuff, but these young kids are talking about coming. You don't have too much like knowledge on them. Do you watch some of their old tapes from the week before, or you just kind of go there and play your own game?
We as a forward line, we do watch a bit about what their backs are doing, and we do state them as you do at every AFL club, I presume. But you know, there's some different players that come into the system, and so you got to know, you know, what foot they kick with, how they like to play. You know, do they like pressure on it? Do they turn it over when they have pressure on them? And, how we as a group can control that. And I guess one of the hard ones too, like when you come up with a team against West Coast, you got Shannon Hearn and Jeremy McGovern that like to mark the ball. That duo is the number one intercept marked in competition. So how us as a forward group, when we're sending one forward up into the stoppage as an extra midfielder, and they're holding 6 backs.
Yeah. How do you nullify them?
How we nullify them because they're going to have a spare already.
Easy. Jenkins, text, just bring the ball to ground and we'll do the rest.
But it's still tough though because you know those guys are super players and they know how to read the play. And
that's exactly how we scout them.
They bank on, you know, pressure up the field from their West Coast forwards to jack a high ball in so they can just read it and mark it. So
100%. It's
very hard how to, you know, you got to figure out each week how you can nullify different opponents and different matchups as well.
Let's take him back to the first free agency of the AFL.
Yes.
This is a big one. And this could raise a few eyebrows or could not. You could just play a straight bat and all that kind of stuff, but we'll see how he goes. So
we're doing very well at the Herald Sun and the Age at the moment though. So anything.
Did you make the Herald Sun and the Age?
We make everything. You
Every
name
week.
it. Whatever publication. We'll be on here tomorrow. You might be sitting here watching on some TV.
Yeah. So just pick your answer carefully. Absolutely, man.
What do you mean?
This is the People's Show,
podcast.
People's podcast.
Come on, grow up, Eddie. Grow up. I'm sick of showing you about everything.
I don't
in
watch
life.
podcasts.
You don't need
saw
to.
snippets of you. And
you don't need to.
Dylan Buckley wants me. And
don't give him a shout out on my podcast.
But no, first free agency.
First free agency, yeah. So obviously it was a big thing, and it would have been hard for clubs to understand how it's all going to work. But Adelaide obviously played it pretty well. They offered you 4 years and X amount of money. I'm not going to bother getting into that. And the Blues had 72 hours to match it. So I'm just going to ask you, how did it all pan out for you? And like, not did you want to leave and all that kind of stuff, but how early did you know that this actually might be a real outcome, that I might be heading to Adelaide? Obviously, you love Carlton and everything, but
yeah, there was a bit of rumours saying that I've already made my decision up, you know, in the middle of the year, which was false. Because I didn't want to leave the Carlton Football Club. I always wanted to stay. My friends were there, were there, so I didn't want to leave, and they were making it hard in a way, where we just wanted an answer. We wanted to. I just had a young family. Louis was born. Louis was born that year, and I just wanted a bit of security.
Yeah, as you would.
And so they, offered me 2 years, and basically I said, my management said no, because we've, hold off. We'll try get some more years for you, a bit of security.
Yeah.
And I said okay then, and I held off, and we kept on talking, but they kept saying we're gonna hold off. This is Carlton saying that we're gonna hold off now, and basically they came back with another 2-year contract, which was I think was less than the first contract that they gave me. So
2011, 2012. This was 2013 year, was it? So you've just been All-Australian squad 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
No, I think I had kicked 27 goals that year. I broke my jaw.
Oh, you broke your jaw and you got done for suspension.
I done for suspension. So I missed 3 weeks. I got done for 5 weeks. Suspended for 5 weeks, but I got reduced to 3.
Yeah, because you're a good bloke.
Yeah.
Good dude.
I don't know, what, 5 weeks though?
That's massive. That's just probably like knee-jerk reaction back then. But I'm just trying to put myself in their shoes. But prior to that year, you've had 2 really good years. You were leading goal kicker in 2012. And that's why I was trying to get my head around.
Yeah, so
they offered you 2-year contract, and Adelaide came along.
Well, there was 2 clubs that offered me 4 years.
Has this been? This is viral.
There are 2 clubs that offered me 4 years.
Who was the other breaking news again?
No, not breaking news. The other club was North Melbourne.
Okay.
They offered me 4 years and basically double the pay that what Carlton's offered me.
So you'd be kind of stupid not to. So, you just had a baby.
Yeah. And it was hard, the hardest decision I've ever had to make in my life. I got to a point, and then at the end of the season, I remember we played Sydney. I still hadn't made up my mind. I was still waiting for an answer from the Carlton Football Club.
Yeah.
And we played Sydney. We lost in a final.
The final.
Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
You played in that?
I got nearly best on for us.
Is that true? Is that?
Oh mate, 20-something and 2 goals. I don't know. You have to go back and check it out.
Yeah.
I can't remember. You remember those stats? And then
it's a final. I haven't played one since then. What are you talking about? Sorry, Mr. Grand Finals. You played all these finals and shit since I've been.
So after that, I went home. I spoke to my management, and they said, "What are we going to do? What do you think you want to do? Where's your heart? This is the offer from the Carlton Football Club. 2 years on this amount.
Yeah.
And this is the offer from North Melbourne and Adelaide. What do you what do you want to do? These are both 4 years.
Yeah.
Was Adelaide and North similar money?
They were.
Okay.
They were. And
but for you, it was more longevity, having those 4 years secured.
But I'm part of that. Like in part of that, the year before I went back to Adelaide, my dad was in hospital. I went into the Elizabeth Hospital, and he had tubes all through his neck and his arm where his pancreas had died because he drank too much alcohol, and so he was on life support basically in the hospital. He's still alive now.
He goes through it
back in Port Lincoln, and I said to him then, if I ever get an opportunity to come back to Adelaide to help your health and benefit your health, I would. And you know that really summed up the option as well of me compared to North and Adelaide. And that's where we made the decision then. Probably the hardest decision that I'm going to leave, you know, the Carlton Football Club. I played 9 years, 186 games. I'm a life member.
Yeah.
To move.
Yeah.
And I went up to the Carlton Football Club, had a meeting with, you know, Shane O'Sullivan.
The great Shane O'Sullivan.
And Mick Malthouse and my management, and basically said, made the decision to go to the Adelaide Crows. And basically, but after that meeting, you know, Mick walked out. Then I started crying in the meeting to Shane, because Shane O'Sullivan's like my second dad. I said, "This is it, Shane. I'm going." And he basically said, "It doesn't matter. This is not the end of our friendship. We'll still be friends." And I went down and packed my locker up, and you know, Kate Simpson was down there, and I was actually started crying in the locker room. Gave Kate a hug, said, "I'm not coming back." And then I walked out, saw Jared Waite on the way out, and gave Jared a hug, and then never been back.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to was there a sense of not trusting where you're going with your football? Was it did you feel we can cut this or whatever, but did you feel a little bit disrespected, not getting what other clubs were offering you? Because obviously you're a big name in the market, you're playing some good footy. I was speaking to David Noble recently. He said, he'd give you another 4 years off the bat, and you're 32 now, so you would have been, 27 then?
27,
so did you feel a little bit disrespected, I guess, by the offer? Because obviously players, when you get a contract offer, the first one's usually the worst one you get. And they you give what you think you are, and they kind of be in the middle. So did you feel like they're underselling what your worth was for the club? And obviously...
the Carlton Football Club you're talking about?
Yeah. But down hindsight, they would have, the relationships that broke up at that club through you leaving, I know that you probably don't agree 100% with this.
Trickle effect.
I know for a fact that a lot of players, including myself, Jeffrey, Yaron, Dennis Sanford, we all just felt shattered when he left. And he's a favourite son. But do you feel
we said that to the footy club. I said, if I leave this footy club, and I put it to the Carlton Football Club, I said, if I leave it, my management said it, even Lyndall Downs at that time, where she was working at the footy club, and she was she was the welfare manager. And, you know, we as Indigenous players, we were close to Lyndall, and she basically said, if Ed leaves, you know, these boys are going to fall apart. And it was, and ended up leaving.
And ended up happening, I guess. But honestly, from my point of view, when he left, I was trying to get in on the deal with him. I was texting all the time saying, "Can you make a 2-for-1 deal, please? I'll come with you." No shit, this is real. That's what I was texting and asking. That. Yeah, there's a lot of us still doing that. Yeah, we because Eddie gave us a little bit wind when he found out that other clubs were interested in him, and obviously when he got his contract from Carlton, he obviously knew.
I think Jeff wanted to come as well. And
Jeff wanted to come. We all wanted to go, and from then on, we just kind of lost a sense of love for the club, I guess, and what was happening at the time. And I wouldn't say we went off the rails, but pretty much can say that.
Yeah. So it was a real impact to the culture that was building around.
For me, yes, it was because everyone knows Eddie's worth and what he brings to on field, but off field was just as big for us, and that's why we're still really good mates today.
Yeah,
but it was a tough one, I guess. That in hindsight, I'm guessing they would have probably done things differently. But so you went down the path of Adelaide.
Yep,
mate. Can I just say, you've had an amazing career. I've mentioned all your accolades, but what changed it for you? What changed it for you? Because you're playing good footy at Carlton, yes, but you've stepped your shit up a whole nother level when you went to Adelaide.
I think it was more the different. It was just fresh start, new faces, new coaches, new game style. And plus, my wife, Anna, as well, she was really strict on me because back in the day, and you would know too, we would used to go out and we'll party, we'll go and drink.
Pretty much every weekend.
Every weekend, you know, we'll be CQ, we were memberships at CQ.
Oh, really?
Dale, where's the drink cards at?
Dale and Danny. The drink cards are out,
the drink cards as soon as you walk in, you know. They say, oh no, Eddie and Rob's coming back.
Let little security know.
The boys are back.
Got to stock the fridge,
And so
So you changed a lot of habits in your lifestyle.
I changed a lot of habits, and that's a lot of credit to my wife Anna. She changed that, helped me change a lot of habits, because just after the boat cruise, I had to kind of grow up a little bit because I got arrested and locked up on the front page of the Herald Sun, noted as a bad boy. They put the photo that Robbo put up.
I've already apologised for that photo.
No, you were planning
Did I not do it?
No,
I didn't do it.
No, we'll set this up now.
Okay,
So apparently you do have something you want to say.
Officially, Eddie Robert Betts III. I apologise for the photo that I put up on my personal Facebook account in 2009 of you and me in Vegas when I was 19 years of age. I apologise. There, I said it. It's public now.
It's out there. We've set the record straight.
When you put the photo up, when you
No.
No.
I put a block on my phone.
But actually, that photo,
bro, that was on my personal Facebook. And Facebook wasn't like a big thing back then.
So if you Google Eddie Betts and Mitch Robinson now,
it comes up. That's the first photo pops up.
First photo that pops up with me.
And I'm embarrassed.
Google page one.
I look like a thumb, bro. My head's like.
My eyes are. That's
because you had cataract.
I had cataract in my eyes. I had operation on my eyes because I had a big red thing growing over it.
Yeah.
So it just looks like I'm.
Looks like you're killing it in Vegas.
Killing it in Vegas, but actually my eyes bloody. I had surgery on it because it had the cataract. But
long story short, I apologise, man. Like I know it's been a burden for us.
And so then I got arrested in the boat cruise, and that was the first photo they put up of me and Robbo. They cut Robbo out and just put me sitting back.
Oh, they did too.
With a cigarette.
You
in my
get cropped
mouth.
out.
I got cropped out. I was too ugly for it.
Wow.
They wouldn't be able to sell the paper if I was on the back page.
Yeah.
No, the booze cruise was a big one, but. Yeah, so Adelaide.
I basically grew up after that. So after I got locked up, I had to start growing up. And from then onwards, I had to grow up. You know, the move to Adelaide really
put that in stone.
Really helped me in a way.
Because you were a superstar in Melbourne. Like you can't stop this bloke, and like you can't in the street. He gets stopped everywhere.
Yeah.
When I went to Adelaide in the bye week in his first year there, and I thought I was all right, like pretty well known and stuff. But we'll be walking down Henley Beachway, and this guy would be getting stopped by everyone asking me to take photos for them and the fans. I'm just sitting there going, wow.
He's that guy.
You're the photographer.
I'm like the boyfriends of Instagram.
That's
I was
why
like,
he had to go buy these.
That's why I'm trying to get myself, like my profile back out there because everyone's forgotten about me. But honestly, like your first year there, so you've got leading goal kicker, and you've also made All-Australian team. So 2014, run us through that.
I didn't make the All-Australian for my first year.
But the years after.
The years after I did. I was in the
that's the
squad.
one you said
I should have made it.
You said it was bullshit. You didn't get it.
I didn't say it was bullshit. I said I should have made it.
He said it. So I'll just crop his voice out and say bullshit.
That's the headline. I should have made it.
Yeah, so your first year, run us through that. Like, because my first year at Brisbane was 2015, so I got cut the year after you left. Just spoke about that, but I always had a chip on my shoulder that I thought I had to prove people wrong that I was a good player in the AFL and I should have had a contract, all this kind of stuff. Did you have a chip on your shoulder that year, or you just?
No, I didn't have a chip on my shoulder. I just wanted to play footy. I wanted to enjoy it again.
Yeah,
because I lost a little bit of love, but then the fresh start, you come back and you start winning, start playing some great footy again. It just makes you happy, brings the joy back.
Yeah,
and I guess Louis as well, a sense that. Once he started walking and started hand passing, started kicking, really wanted to play footy with me. And when I got home, it was always footy. So that really drove that love back into it as well.
We'll talk about your kids soon because you're pretty much, you the father of Lewis. Like, that's not the other way around. That's not Eddie's son. That's the father of Lewis.
Oh, yeah.
Because Lewis is more popular than him, no shit.
Yep, absolutely.
But, so this one's a very touchy subject for myself. And you'll probably laugh at it, but... So you had a long-time fiancée, Annie Scully.
Yep.
There was about 4 of us that weren't notified of this surprise wedding. He still says to this day he's not married to us. So our group chat is me, Jeffrey, Yaz, and Aaron Joseph, Dennis Armfield, and Kane Lucas.
Yeah.
We found out that he got married from a photo in his Instagram. And we questioned him and said, "Oh, you married?" He goes, "Oh, no, it's just something that, they put together for a surprise party type thing." I was like, "Oh, yeah, cool, I believe you for sure." But now everywhere, like Wikipedia is, his wife, Anna Scully, he got married in 2015? 2015? 16? 15? Oh, no. Doesn't know.
Oh, this.
Yeah, I don't know.
We might have to cut this.
I think it was...
oh, no. Oh, it's taking one too long.
15, yeah.
2015. No, it was, yeah. Run us through this. I want to talk about the invite that we didn't get and how did that all go down.
You want me to run through the whole thing?
Yes.
Okay,
I got all day, man. You got to catch a plane in an hour. But
let's put it all on the table.
Anna was talking to was turning 30 and she turned 30 that day actually, and it was a Saturday night and we planned a party for her. I already booked their venue, done all of that, and we
You can tell he's nervous about this.
We had no, I'm not nervous. I'm just trying to get all the details right.
Okay.
So
Don't hurt my feelings too much.
I had my dad, Anna's dad was there, and his mum was there, and his sister was there for her 30th. I had a cousin of mine, Rusty, Big Rusty.
Yep.
He came there.
Shout out Rusty.
And we were all at home having a few beers around
Yep.
about 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
12 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, 12 o'clock somewhere. Alan Jackson.
I know all the Alan Jackson songs in the world because of this bloke.
And so we were sitting down, and Anna went and got her hair done, her and her sister, with it and some makeup, and her friends came over to deliver a little chair for a present. I forgot who it was. It was Alice Haywood and Sarah McKay, who are close friends of Anna's from the Adelaide Footy Club.
Yep.
And they said, "Why don't you just marry her?" And I'm like, well, "Can't marry her, mate. How am I supposed to marry her? We've got nothing set up. We've got nothing done." Yeah. They said, "Let's just organise it. We'll just try." I was like, "No, we can't."
Is this day off?
This is day off.
Stop
and I'm
it.
like, "No," because Anna's gone and got her hair done, and her mum and dad were sitting there.
Yeah.
And they said, "Okay, no, let's just do it. Let's just try it." I said, "We got no reverend, no rings, no nothing."
Yeah.
Anna's family wasn't there, just her mum and dad and her sister. Her brothers weren't there, no one. And then I said, "Okay, then, well, what do you mean?" I said,
How do you get talked into this?
We'll go buy
What
the
a
rings.
day.
They said, "We'll go buy the rings." I'm like, "Well, how do you know the sizes?" So I went and grabbed a ring out of Anna's in the bathroom, and I grabbed that and I put that. I said, "You take that because that's Anna's ring. That'll fit."
They'll fit, yeah.
And they took one of my rings and they said, "Oh, you take that and that'll fit." And I was like, "Okay, is this happening?" And there was a Lockleys Footy Club across the road. They were playing at the moment. So what I did, I said, "Oh, well, I'm getting married tonight." I grabbed a couple of beers and walked across the road with Rusty and his dad and cracked open a beer.
Did you ask the bloke? Oh, I guess you only asked when you get engaged, eh?
Yeah. And so then I went over there and had a beer and I said, "Is this really happening? Am I going to get married tonight?" But it wasn't really
it wasn't official because there's no rev.
Because we rang the reverend. We couldn't get a rev, so we rang the club rev. And the club rev said, "Yeah, we could do it, but it's not official. It's a commitment to get married down the track."
Yeah.
And so basically we got to I said, "Okay, then rock up at 9 o'clock at the function." So we were there, he rocked up at the function and was the speeches, me and Anna. And I said, "Well, Anna, would you like to marry me tonight?" She's like, "No."
Hey!
And then she goes, "Oh, what do you mean?" I'm like, "Oh, just in front of all these people, would you like to marry me tonight?" She goes, "Oh, well, there's no reverend." I was like, "Reverend?" And the Rev walks through.
Wow.
But then the Rev spoke about it to everybody, said it's not a wedding, it's a commitment to get married later on down the track.
Yeah.
And so, but being Adelaide, the bubble that Adelaide is, one of the boys that put a photo
Yeoman?
up saying, no, it was Jared Walsh actually. Jared Walsh, if you listened, he put a photo up. And then it went on front page of the Advertiser, the AFL. Straight next day, I get text messages from Mitch. That's bullshit. Where's my invite?
What am I meant to say? Congrats, man.
She got a message from her brother saying he was filthy. That's bullshit. I don't know you get married. But we said, this is exactly a true story. We said, we're not going to sign the paperwork and do a function until they legalise gay marriage in Australia.
Yep.
And they legalised it, but we still haven't signed the paperwork.
I was about to say, what? You actually had one now?
Yeah, so we're on a countdown.
Yeah, so we're on a countdown. We've got to sign the paperwork.
I can expect
an invite.
Okay, no, hopefully.
Something's coming in.
Yeah, so long story short, got married without me and the boys. But
I wasn't married, but
we'll move on from that. Like
he's hatred.
He's wearing a wedding ring. So what do you want me to say? What do you want me to say?
Okay. There you go.
So you've got 4 children. We've got Louis, Billy, Maggie, and Alice. How's the twins coming along?
Maggie, yeah.
How's the twins coming along?
Twins are hard work.
Are you not father of the year? I don't know if you follow him on social media.
I wouldn't say father of the year.
I think I'm a pretty good dad, but deep down I think like he does so much for his kids, and like he's always at the park kicking a footy, doing something or other with them, going to schools, talking about his book that we're going to touch on in a minute.
Yeah.
All this shit, and sometimes I get home from training, I'm like, I can't do it. I'm so tired.
It is hard work, isn't it? When you get home. I got them all coming in.
You got one here now.
Got his hand through the window. Can you go back in there? Because I've closed that door because we're doing a talk.
We've got 5 minutes and we'll be ready.
It's hard work.
Were the twins planned, or was that just...
No, it wasn't planned.
That's just an 80 night special.
We went to... we said we'll try for 3 and end up with 4. So that really blew our mind, and we were actually shocked. Anna rang me. She was really not upset. She was crying, but it was crying with excitement, saying I'll tell you, I wasn't excited at the time. for the first 1 minute, I was like, "Oh,
What have we done?
We got 2.
two? Oh man!"
So
then we can't change anything. We got to deal with it and
Yeah.
change it for the world. You know?
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
2
gorgeous
girls,
kids. They're all
2
here
girls.
now. So we got about 7
That's
children
why
up
we
in this
try.
house.
That's why if you see us like looking to the door, they're coming through.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
they're having
we
the
got
time of
that
their
way.
life out
Yeah,
there, though.
I can hear them in the background running amok. We've got a couple of women out there.
But
trying
it's
to look after
hard.
'em.
But it's hard work.
Grand final chat. Are you allowed to talk about that?
If you want to talk about that,
I don't know, because obviously we've got Charlie Cameron at our club now, and he hasn't watched the footage.
He hasn't watched it.
Hasn't watched the game. No.
Okay.
yeah,
So
I haven't watched it.
the first year he got to the club was the year after, obviously that grand final loss, and they kept
I
bringing
think
up,
that game might have changed the way changed if he was going to move or not.
was going to stay or not. Do you reckon? You're pretty close to him. Like
I think I
I
reckon
wouldn't
he-
say you raised the bloke, but you
I
lived with you
reckon-
for
yeah,
a
he
year and a
lived
bit.
with us. I reckon
Yeah.
he would have stayed, but I'm pretty certain he like it was funny the way it happened because I didn't know that he was actually going to leave. I
So
thought
was he talking about it or not?
he was talking about it because he was frustrated a little bit. And,
Yeah.
I was driving up to Alice Springs at that time, and I rang him on the way because they were like saying that he's going, and I rang him. I said, "What are you doing? Are you going to stay or are you going to go? Make sure if you're going to stay, if you're comfortable and you're happy, stay. But
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you're not comfortable and you're not happy,
Yeah.
make sure you make the right decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's up to you." And then I ran out of service coverage, and I was like, "Oh crap!" And then I said, "Oh, trade's happening," and all I see was
Last
Charlie's
minute.
name come up. Last minute trade, Brisbane, and then it went like flat. The service, I couldn't get it up, and I was like, "What the hell?"
Oh, stop it.
So grand final chat. Obviously, I was envious of you that you've gone through the whole, the grand final parade, and you boys are killing it. And I was so happy he was playing the grand final. I actually I was hoping he's won it because we would have had I had a bigger night than you probably after the game. But
Oh,
Yeah, you
solid.
did.
I was there.
You did.
I was killing it.
I actually had to come get him into the after party.
Oh,
Yeah.
stop
Text
it.
message,
No.
Robbo.
I can't believe he actually replied as well, which is cool. But like grand
I
final,
got him in.
Yeah, he got me in. It was a good night. It was a great night. So you haven't watched the game. Can you just run us through like the week leading up to that? You just found out you're going to be in the grand final the week after. It's crazy, man.
I honestly think the week before was our grand final.
Who was that?
It was
in
against Geelong.
Geelong.
Paddy Dangerfield coming back home to play in the prelim to get into the grand final.
Yeah.
And so it was not coming back home, but coming back to play against the club that he obviously first played for.
Big
Yeah.
build-up.
So it was, and we absolutely smashed it in that game, and the hype was everything.
Everything worked out.
Yeah.
And
Everything
it was just crazy, and the
Yeah.
atmosphere was good.
was
The feeling
clicking.
was good. Everything was clicking, and that was basically our grand final there. Then just the week building up to it,
like run me through. How different is it to a normal week?
it's
Like you got so much to
completely
do.
different, so much to
Yeah.
do. The grand final parade,
Yeah.
everything during the week. The massive the training where you get all the supporters there.
Media sponsorship, it's all.
Media,
Yeah.
you got the whole media in Adelaide coming to
Yeah.
the Amy Park, and it was just flat out. And
Yeah.
I guess it really drained our energy. And I wouldn't say that we were cocky going into that game, but we believed that that year was our year. That's
100%.
That's just
Yeah.
our thought, because the way that we're
Yeah.
playing that year, we believed that we were going to win the grand final.
Well, you beat him by
Yeah.
90 points.
And we beat it by 90 points during the
Yeah.
year. But when we got to that game, Richmond, to their credit, their final series that year was unbelievable.
Yeah, they hit
they
their strides.
played in WA, I think, and
They beat all
West
the
Coast
odds.
and
Yeah.
all the odds.
and they just come out of, I wouldn't say
You guys
nowhere.
started- you guys-
I wouldn't say
you guys
nowhere.
We're winning comfortably in the first
But then
quarter.
they just the pressure that they applied, and once they kicked a few goals in that second quarter, it was like the straw blur after that.
Yeah.
Like it just flew past us, the game.
Yeah, wow.
Like next thing you know, we're on the bus,
Yeah.
in the rooms, like everything just went wrong.
Yeah.
Like the way that we played, we went back into our shells a bit. It just wasn't going our way. Even with what we tried we worked our butt off, but just nothing flew our way.
Just watching the game, I thought from the first quarter, like Eddie kicked a goal, Charlie kicked a goal. I was like, man, game over, baby. This is it. This is going to
Charlie
happen.
was,
Well, he rolled his ankle on that goal.
Yeah.
No, he passed the bounce. He passed you the first goal.
It
But I was thinking like, man, they've got this in the bag. This is
Yeah.
a big Adelaide win. I'm going to get ready.
It was, but tell you, that was the best experience I've ever had, and probably one of the worst experiences in one game. To make the AFL Grand Final after playing 13 years in a system, and then to lose it, it's an
Just in that moment,
our
yeah.
way of winning.
Yeah, wow.
So
So you haven't watched the game since?
nah, I haven't watched.
Are you, is that like we'll talk about what's next for you now? But is that what's kept, like still driving you to get back to that feeling? Like your boys going pretty well this year. Like
It
you
does.
found your straps again.
I guess I've got this year left on my contract, and next year, so I got 2 more years. So, I guess that's the ultimate goal, to win the premiership. And if I don't, I just,
I don't think anyone's going to think any less of this bloke.
I just want to be the best player that I've wanted to be. And I got a lot of things, like you say, we're going to talk about next, is outside of footy that are really taking over my life.
And this
later stage.
One little thing that's happened. This one's probably an actual real touchy one. So I watched the Adam Goodes documentary.
Oh, you have seen it?
Monday night.
Okay.
So they put on the event cinema. So they put it on. So pretty much all the players from the club, all the staff, everyone went and watched it. I thought I was a bit naive to what we talked about it before.
Yeah.
Like we've actually got a whole podcast on it, but I was naive to the fact that it's actually how bad what it was and how it was going. You've had a few incidents in your career, and when you had one recently, I asked you, did you want to come on and talk about it? And you kind of a bit hesitant because that's what you've been talking about for a long time. You didn't know how it's going to go and stuff. Are those things we don't have to talk about now? But are those things was kind of led to this book being born that you were about to talk about? Is that anything along those lines?
No, not really. I wouldn't say I was hesitant to talk about it. I'll be happy to talk about it because all I want is to stamp it out.
Yeah.
Not just in AFL but in society as well. But that's the stuff. Being Indigenous and living in Australia, that's what we got to deal with. Growing up, I dealt with it my whole life. Racism, casual racism.
Yeah. It's a real thing. That's why I didn't think because all the time I spent with you, I'd never really seen it personally because you're such this big aura and this great bloke. He has that everyone will say he's after trainings and stuff, he would talk to every single fan, get photos with him, does everything that more people could do.
Yeah.
I just find it hard to think that it's a real thing in Australia. People actually can target players and do that. So that's what I just couldn't believe that watching that documentary, that's how it actually is. And obviously you've had some really big incidents that's been in football. The throwing the banana and all those type of things on social media. Do you think it's getting better as we get on with our careers, or do you think there's so much work to do?
I think there's still so much work to do. They're getting better in a little aspect of it, but there's still so much that needs to be done. Me personally, that's what I think. And it's different. Not different, but when you lived it, you've been through it on the footy field and off the footy field.
Even something at the Gold Coast, it wasn't probably racially. Even you went to.
I went to Movie World yesterday.
Went to Movie World yesterday.
Yesterday, and a Richmond supporter come up and was just abusing the hell out of me.
Yeah.
I'm with my family. I'm trying to enjoy going on these rides and spending time with my wife and my kids. And he came up to me. He looked aggressive too, and just abusing me about the 2017 grand final. Got his Richmond little keyring on and holding it, saying you choked in my face. And I was like, this dude is crazy. He had his little kid with him, and I was set an example, mate. Said, you're showing a bit of violence here.
Yeah. So the thing, I was speaking to Anna she called me pretty much after, and she's just talking to me about it. And obviously Eddie the bloke, he's forgiving is all hell. He'll always forgive people for what they're doing. But Anna was actually shaken up, and that's his wife and his kids that he's with, and this stuff still happens. For me to act, if I was there, I'd probably be in the paper today.
Yeah.
So that's what I don't. First thing I feel is anger. I feel anger straight away.
Yeah, I felt anger, but we gotta.
You got a lot more to lose in this
bloke.
We
have to, solve these. We can't solve these problems with violence. We got to solve these problems with education. Yeah. That's what I do about the racism. We can't use violence against violence. We have to educate these people.
Having conversations.
Having conversations and having the hard conversation. This is what the Adam Goodes documentary wants people to start this conversation, to have those hard conversations, to talk about it. And to talk about what were you thinking at the time that it was happening, because I've watched the documentary twice now.
Yeah.
And knowing that it was happening to Adam, I feel guilty because we really didn't show him that much support. And I said it after the whole Indigenous boys watched it. After
You're on camp?
On an Indigenous camp, and I got up in front of the boys and I said, it's going to happen again.
Yeah.
And it will happen again. And it's the way that we stick up for each other as a brotherhood, as a group of players, Indigenous players, that as we stick together, so we can, show support for one another, because you think you're going through a lot of support. You think you're going through it and you think, he's got support, but he goes home, and that's, you sit down, basically support, you got just your family.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is thinking you got support. Yeah. I've been racially abused. I go home, the support that being, shown to me by my wife and the brothers at the footy club has been fantastic, but sometimes it can be daunting because
you still sit there and it's in your head.
I'm
the oldest,
but I'm the oldest of the Indigenous players at the club, so I'm trying to stay strong for these younger kids and be a role model and not let it affect me, which deep down it is. And watching the documentary, you can just see week after week, just Adam's face and just the toll that it took.
Just the body language.
And the thing though, because I didn't know what was going on in the media up in Sydney.
Yeah.
And that's where everything was happening. You know, the media scrutiny that Adam was copying in Sydney wasn't helping as well. And you know, they were just going. Where it all started is when Adam pointed out that 13-year-old girl on the MCG for calling him a monkey. That's where it all started, I guess. Where that next day in the press conference, Adam mentioned in that press conference at least 10 times, "I don't need the support. I'm a grown man. I can support myself. The support needs to go to that 13-year-old girl. She's an innocent little girl. And we need to educate her. We need to educate her." And he said that at least 10 times in that media conference, that she needs the support, not me. She needs the support.
100%.
Educate her. And after that, it was nothing about that.
Nothing. It was all about him picking her out of the crowd, out of all those people. But he, as he said, every chance he had, he was talking about, you know, it's not her fault. She's innocent. She's 13. We should look at where she's coming from, you know, all that kind of stuff.
And the thing that, and this is something that I hold to me personally, is that when I get angry about, when people come up to me in the street, I've been racially abused, and they go, "Oh, Ed, you know, it's fantastic. You know, the way that you handled the situation. You know, you handled that better than Adam Goods." I'm like, hang on. Well, what do you mean?
Okay.
Yeah. Better than Adam Goods. We're trying to stamp out the same thing.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What's the difference between the way that I've done it and Adam done it? All Adam said was that girl needs support. Yeah. She needs to be educated. You know, we need to support her. Yeah. And that I've said the same thing when I've been you know, racially abused. I said, we need to support these people. We need to give them educated. Yeah. You know, they need to be educated on it because they're young, they're innocent. You know, they probably don't know what's right or wrong. So, you know, we need to educate these people. Yeah. Adam said the same thing about that little girl, and people
come after him, pointing out the wrong issue.
After him and you know, and I just hate it when they say, you know, you handle that way better than Adam Goods. Yeah. I'm like, no,
it's not a contest.
It's not a contest.
Yeah.
We've got to stamp this out. You know,
100%.
100%. Like in society, in general. Like we deal with this stuff. You know, if non-Aboriginal players don't deal with it,
who will?
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched on before how you spoke to the group after you saw the movie for the first time earlier in the year. Yeah. Have you been proud that the game has called it out and has been more proactive in comparison to recent years?
I guess, you know, speaking to Paul Marsh, the AFL Players Association, and Gil McLaughlin, you know, when it happened a few times just recently after that documentary came out this year, you know, Gil was on the front foot. He had a media press conference. Paul Marsh was on the front foot, set out a statement, and the support shown by the non-Indigenous players as well. You know, the Alex Rance, the Patrick Dangerfield. You know, these you know big players, big name players. So it's fantastic with the support that's been shown.
Yeah, and the ones that we all know about, the ones that are made public. There's so many ones that blokes don't talk about. Charlie Cameron's had a couple in his Instagram stuff and his direct messages that he doesn't have. Yeah.
If you're an Indigenous player, you would probably get racially abused online, and the more you talk about it, the more it's going to happen. That's just how it is. So when I bring up, you know, when I stamp it out and try to stamp it out, I get racially abused on my social media. There's a heap of comments on my social media page right now. So and there still are, but there's just people just make fake comments and comment on it, and then
fake accounts and stuff.
When you try to catch them, you can't catch them.
Yeah. With that being said, it actually brings us to the book My People, Eddie. It's been behind Mitch for the last hour now.
Oh, that?
Yeah, we've been giving it a cheeky plug for the last hour. Talk to us about it, man, because we know this is something that's been very, very a big passion of yours for a while now. And talk us about Lil Homies and everything, what you're trying to build.
Yeah, sweet. Well, the first book, I always wanted to write a book, a kid's book, and because I love being engaged with kids, I love working with them, love seeing their reactions and the smiles on their faces. Yeah. So I haven't read a book in my life, and I wanted to make this book, you know, friendly, easy to read, rappable, but not only just for kids, but for parents as well. So the first book was My Kind, and I wanted kids to see themselves in this book. So in the book, I got different characters,
different cultures,
different nationalities, boys and girls. You know, there's Eddie, who's Aboriginal. We got Maggie, who's American. We got little Lenny, who's from Japan. And just different characters so people can see themselves in this book. But the message is, in the first one is called My Kind, and it's all about spreading kindness. You know, there's always looking after the environment in that book. There's bullying, trying to stand out bullying, because there's a lot of bullying now that's going on through
It's crazy.
schools, life in general. And speaking up, there was, in the first book we had a little girl, I think it was Alice, sitting on a bench, and she looked a bit sad and down. So we asked her to speak up and let us know what's going on. And so speaking up when you're down, if you need someone to talk to. Looking after the environment, picking up the rubbish, and helping out your elders too. We had, just being kind, picking up the old lady's bag and helping her across the road. So
the best thing about these books are there's like all these messages in it. Yeah, there's key messages in it. Like it's a good read. I've actually read it a couple of times.
Yeah, I read it before we started.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Yeah, so there's actually like little good messages in it. How many books in the series is it? Like this is the
second one. So the first one is My Kind, about kindness, and the second one's about my people. And we found that, especially in schools, that they're not really teaching about Aboriginal culture.
I'll say being from Tassie, I didn't learn anything about Indigenous culture or the first people of Australia until like I got to the AFL, which is crazy. So these books like this would be fantastic.
Yeah, and so these books, they're not smacking you in the face, because we know it can be a little bit confronting and a hard conversation to start, knowing that you're talking about Aboriginal culture and what happened 80,000 years ago, and and it's very as I said, confronting. But people, when you hit them with that confronting conversation, they kind of disengage from you. They don't want to have that conversation. So we just thought we would talk about Aboriginal culture, but about the elders in a fun way, and just giving you a little bit more education about our culture. Talk about the flag, talking about dance, art, music, stories, spirituality, and it's all about family, mobs, cousins, aunties, uncles. They're all your family. So it's just a little bit of an education piece about our culture, but you can read it with your kids, rhyme it, and at least you still get like a little insight of it.
Yeah, it has a lot of words and stuff in there, like Aboriginal words you can learn.
Yeah, and it talks about where all the different cultures are around Australia, but I put a couple of tribe names in there, like the Wirangu, that's where I'm from. Yep. So I put that in the book. I put Nyunga, which Robbo thinks he is from WA.
I was going to say, aren't you Gubberin? You don't like that one guy?
No, I was born in Port Lincoln.
Okay.
Wirangu.
Yeah.
But my mum's family is Gubberin from Western Australia in Kalgoorlie. So I'll show you a little bit of piece of it, and I've got to give a shout out to the illustrators. So the illustrator,
you know who this is?
My first book was Jesse White. Jesse White played for
Collingwood.
Sydney and Collingwood,
that's
and
right.
so Jesse White.
He did the logo for this podcast as well.
Yeah, so Jesse White illustrated all of these and done all the designs for us, and he's a fantastic illustrator. And the other one was Bridget Gillard, who's worked with Eddie Little Homies at the moment. So she works at home on the book at the moment, which is fantastic. And we had all these characters in. I'll show them now. So
you've obviously sat down with the authors and you thought of this with yourself, Anna, and
we sat down over a glass of red, Robbo, and we decided to write a book. We knew
mature, drinking red wine and stuff.
I've grown up a lot, Mitch.
Used to be goon bags.
No, I wouldn't say that. So it was it was. I knew what I wanted to get out. We knew what I wanted to say.
So to find a way.
But it was just how are we going to put it on a book? So writing the book was quite easy to do. But printing it, finding someone to print it, someone to draw the pictures and do the whole bring it to life. It was kind of hard. Yeah. But we finally got there. Dream come true, and
it looks amazing.
And that's all the characters on the book. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I can
see it.
So where can you get that? This is been recently released, and you signed. I saw you signing a shit.
I've actually got six pallets coming today at home. So I arrived today of my people. Of this book, and I've really got like 6 pallets already at home of My Kind. So all of our businesses run from home. We wrap them and send them from home.
Is it best to go from the website or from Instagram?
It would say if you probably the website.
Eddie'sLittleHomies.com.au.
Eddie'sLittleHomies.com.au. But if you go to my Instagram, the link's on the Instagram.
I'll pop it up here.
Us.
Check
it up.
So it's actually quite good. And in the first book, we didn't have a little friend, if you can see here, this little guy here, he's named Duncan, and he's in a wheelchair. And I was doing a reading for my first book on My Kind, and a lady approached and said, well, why don't you put someone with a disability in your book, so that kids can see themselves in that book. And and her son's named Duncan, and so we said, all right, would Duncan like to be in the next book?
How good is that?
We got her details, we got a photo of Duncan, and we want it to be realistic, so Duncan can actually see himself in the book, and kids that have a disability or are in a wheelchair can relate.
How authentic is that?
That's dope. That's actually dope.
We want people to relate to this book. So
And you're doing readings? Any more readings?
I'm doing a lot of reading, but there's a lot of stuff that's happening outside of footy now, and
that's the next question, mate. This is obviously you sold a few the first illustrations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my kind was I know for a fact it killed it. So you're doing well, but what's life post footy for Eddie Betts?
Yeah, it's
I know you got a couple of things.
It's pretty busy at the moment.
Yeah. You looking for a PA?
I've got a PA, Robbo.
Who's that?
No, I wouldn't say a PA, but I've got I got a couple of friends of ours that work at home with us.
Yeah.
We got obviously Bridget Gillard, and we just employed another friend of ours.
Who's a photographer?
Gabby Thompson. Bridget.
Yeah, that's her.
Bridget, yes.
Okay,
so she
she's
does
awesome.
everything. Then we got Gabby Thompson, who works at home as well, and she does all my work. Well, the Eddie's little homies, and basically boss me around when I get home. And Anna's a big part of.
Anna's
all of this as well, so she organises all of that. So I've got 3 strong independent women that work behind the scenes on driving the books, and mind you, they got their own business as well. My wife's got Frankly Eco, who runs out of home. So that both of the 3 of those women at home all run through Frankly Eco and my kind.
You need to get like a actual office.
Yeah, we do, but
you got one in your house, but I want one outside.
We got one in the house, yeah. So
it's a fantastic initiative, and it really drives home social inclusion, so it's a fantastic.
Yeah, and so we're doing a few other things.
It's awesome.
And you're doing something with management wise, or looking after?
Yeah, Eddie Betts, Eddie Betts Sports and Talents that we're just working with as well.
Okay.
And that's going to be part of my foundation that I'm working on.
Yep.
And
you got a future employer for that?
Yeah, Mitch Robinson.
Yeah, I'll look up for all the Tassie boys.
We just started up a thing called the BETTS Kids Project, which it's all about Aboriginal kids reaching their to elite sporting programs, because you find these days that at elite sporting programs they're quite expensive to go to. There's that costs thousands of dollars to pay for their shorts, their gear, their travels, accommodation, and all of this. And this is where I come involved, where I'm selling all my items that I've got over the last 15 years. So I've got Carlton gear, I've got Crows gear, I've got my boots, Indigenous boots.
You seen the boots behind you?
Yeah, I saw those boots. Just
you did that ages ago.
Signed those boots, and
so jersey.
whatever I'm selling off, the 100% of the proceeds go to these kids these families that can't afford for those. Not can't afford, but it's just hard to afford to pay for these. And I'm not paying the whole lot. I'm just helping out with these families. So I'll pay a bit of their budget just to help them out a little bit, so their kids can go to these elite programs. So we can send these kids off to the elite programs.
Well, there you go. This guy, as I said, mate, he does it on and off the field.
He's flying.
He's set. You might get a phone call. You might get a phone call from me soon and say, "Hey, mate, got any jobs for me?"
I wouldn't say.
I just finished up my career and I got nothing going on.
It's still lot of hard work to go on with it. So
congratulations.
Honestly, man. Eddie Betts, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. That's our second guest. I think it's that's probably the best one I've had. Thanks, sorry, Lockie Neal, but I think that was pretty good. A lot of in-depth conversation there, but we appreciate that. Hopefully give us a shout out on your social media, because that'd be fantastic. Dylan Buckley, you suck. He's not coming on yours, he's told me before. But no, honestly, appreciate that, man. You're one of a kind, and you've been doing great things for the game, and I reckon you got a couple of years left in you.
I do have a couple of years. I might see if I go any time after that, but I'm pretty sure I got a couple.
No worries, man. Appreciate that.
All good.
Thanks, Betty. Thanks, Butty!